Good afternoon and welcome to the Assembly Committee on Natural Resources. Will the committee secretary please call the roll?
Assembly members Considine.
Present.
DeLong.
Present.
Gurr.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Jackson. Karras.
Here.
Kasama. LaRue Hatch.
Here.
Marzola. Watts.
Here.
And Chair Anderson.
And I am present. Thank you so much. And if you would please mark Assembly members Jackson, Kasama, and Marzola absent, excused. I want to welcome everyone to this meeting, those here in Carson City, people attempting in Vegas or Elko, or listening online. We don't know what's happening with that. We have one bill hearing on the agenda today, but first some really quick housekeeping announcements. Please remember to silence all electronic devices while in the committee room. Committee members might be trying to use their laptops to view handouts if we can bring them up. We do expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during the meeting, even if we may not agree with another person's position. When testifying in person, please turn on the microphone and clearly state and spell your name. Please also state for the record any organization or agency you are representing. Please turn off the microphone each time you are done speaking. And finally, all exhibits, amendments, or other meeting materials must be submitted electronically to our committee manager by no later than 12 p.m. on the business day before the meeting, and 15 hard copies provided for the members of the public. You may also include information up to 24 hours afterwards. All right, so let's get started. I will open the hearing on Assembly Bill 354, which revises provisions relating to the Nevada State Board on Geographical Names. Thank you to our presenters for joining us today. It's Assemblymember Karras, Christine Johnson, and Paul White. You may introduce yourself for the record whenever you are ready.
Thank you, Chair Anderson, and members of the Committee on Natural Resources. This will be interesting today since we're a little bit limited, but we're going to get through it. This is a nice quick bill. It's really a cleanup bill, and you'll understand as we go a little more into it. I do have Dr. Paul White and Dr. Christine Johnson here to take any questions once I go through these remarks and walking through the bill. So here we go. I should say, for the record, I am Venice Karras, proudly representing Assembly District 10 in Clark County. We are here today to present Assembly Bill 354, which revises provisions relating to the Nevada State on Geographic Names. So now you're all going to learn what this board does. Let's see. Geographical names are an integral part of our cultural and geographical environment, serving as identifiers of various geographical entities and representing significant cultural values. These names not only provide a sense of place and belonging, but also play a crucial role in navigation, communication, and governance. The standardization and use of geographical names offer numerous benefits, including technical, social, economic, and cultural advantages. In Nevada, the State Board on Geographic Names was established in 1985 to coordinate and approve geographic names within the state for official recommendation to the U.S. Board on Geographic Names. This board ensures that naming practices are consistent and respectful of the state's diverse cultural and environmental heritage. The U.S. Board on Geographic Names, established in 1890, works with state authorities to maintain uniform geographic name usage across federal maps and publications. The importance of geographical names extends beyond their functional use. They also reflect historical, cultural, and linguistic heritage. Their management requires careful consideration of diverse perspectives and local sensitivities. In this context, AB 354, that's AB 354, aims to refine the composition of the Nevada State Board on Geographic Names, ensuring that it continues to effectively serve its purpose while reflecting the evolving needs and perspectives of the state's diverse stakeholders. At the chair's pleasure, I will briefly discuss the bill as introduced before discussing the amendment and then handing it over to my co-presenters for questions. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. As previously mentioned, AB 354 seeks to change the membership of the Nevada State Board on Geographic Names. Specifically, Section 1 of this bill removes the representatives from both the United States National Park Service and the Nevada Historical Society on the Nevada State Board on Geographic Names, and adds to the board one representative each from the United States Fish and Wildlife Service and the Division of Museums and History of the Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs, respectively. Finally, because this bill is effective on July 1 of 2025, Section 2 allows the representatives appointed by the United States National Park Service and the Nevada Historical Society who are serving on the board on July 1, 2025, to continue serving on the board until their successors are designated by appropriate agencies. But then we get to the amendment, because in looking at moving a few things around, they discovered a few things had to additionally be changed. So here we go. So, however, in working with stakeholders, we recognize the need to clarify and refine the membership of the Nevada State Board on Geographic Names to align with the principle that federal agencies should not serve on the state board due to potential conflicts of interest, and to ensure that the board's composition remains in the best interest of Nevada's governance. This amendment provides these necessary adjustments by 1, explicitly specifying the Nevada Department of Native American Affairs to distinguish it from its federal counterpart, and 2, removing representatives from federal agencies, including the United States Bureau of Land Management, United States Forest Service, and the United States National Park Service, as well as its intended replacement, the United States Fish and Wildlife Service. The federal agencies will stay on in an advisory role, as is allowed in the bylaws of the Nevada State Board on Geographic Names. Did you all digest that? Because it's a lot. So basically what occurred is Dr. Johnson and Dr. White realized, in wanting to just shift a few things around, that they really weren't allowed to have the U.S. agencies on the board. I will ask them again later. I believe Nevada were the only ones that had anyone from the United States agencies on the board. So this is cleaning that up at the same time as it's doing everything else. I want to thank everyone for your consideration of this important measure. We urge your support, and Dr. White and Dr. Johnson are very happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Thank you so much for that very thorough presentation and also for understanding everything going on today. I'm actually going to start off with Assemblymember Watts.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Well done, Dr. Johnson, Dr. White. Good to see you again. I may be one of the only other members of this committee that is very familiar with this board. I've served in an advisory capacity, attended several meetings, and did work on legislation related to the board in the past. So it's great to see you again. I think I am tracking everything. So essentially, at the end of the day, the proposal would be to replace the Nevada Historical Society and add instead the Division of Museums and History in the Department of Tourism and Cultural Affairs, and then remove all of the federal agencies from the board. So I guess I'll start there. Is that correct?
This is Paul White, for the record, Paulwhite, and I am the chairman of the Nevada State Board on Geographic Names. So to answer your question, Assemblyman Watts, Now I have to remember what you were actually just asking. But yes, you are correct in those in your read of that, which is to broaden one of the state agencies from Nevada Historical Society to the division, and that is in keeping with kind of the level at which other state representatives are on the board. And the other one is to remove the federal agencies. And I'll just add that this is also at the request of the federal agencies as well. And so we have, if need be, as exhibits, email communications sent to Dr. Christine Johnson from agency representatives asking to be removed from the board, but to stay on in an advisory capacity. So mutual separation.
Thank you for that. I think all of that clarification was extremely helpful. The only other question that I have related to the membership is, I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, so feel free to just kind of talk generally, and then you could potentially provide any follow-up information. But could you talk about kind of the participation from the various representatives currently, and essentially how you feel about that? I mean, I know I participated in a couple meetings. I know that sometimes, making sure that you've got enough participation can be a challenge. Some folks are very regular and active participants. Some people are a little bit less frequent. So I guess the high-level question is, do you feel that this makeup will allow the board to meet regularly and continue to advance its business forward? And I guess the kind of subtext under that is, do you think that with this revised makeup that you will have consistent attendance from the representatives of the various agencies on here as amended?
This is Christine Johnson, for the record, CHRISTINEJOHNSON. And the answer to the high-level question is yes, by reducing and removing the federal agencies off the board, it's going to change our requirements for quorum, which we've had a difficult situation in the past several meetings because of the lack of participation or the attendance of some of the federal representatives that were previously tasked with this. And then with the state level representation, broadening the term for the museums will help. And for the most part, almost all the state agencies have had pretty regular attendance. Do you have anything?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think that answers my questions. And I just want to kind of say, while we're on the record here, it looks like with the reduction of 3 seats, it will move it from a 12-member board down to a 9-member board. It would take the quorum requirement down from, I believe, 7 to 5 members. And while I know that the board, I believe, tends to move forward with pretty consensus support, it would also eliminate the possibility of a tie on any vote on the board. So thank you for the questions and the indulgence, Chair.
Thank you so much for that question. Next up is Assemblymember DeLong.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Very thorough. Appreciate it. I understand the amendment. Though, given the amendment, it makes me look at Section 2 and some of the provisions in there with regards to members staying on until their successor is named. I get that for the Nevada Historical Society, but maybe for the Park Service that doesn't make sense anymore. But will the Park Service, here's my real question, will the Park Service remain in an advisory capacity?
This is Paul White, again for the record, and thank you, Assemblyman DeLong, for that question. Our expectation is yes. The Park Service does want to stay on as an advisory member, and we do want the federal presence on this because 85% of lands in the state are governed by a federal agency. So their sort of involvement in the board is good. This is just cleaning up that they won't have that sort of issue of also being a voting member.
Just a quick follow-up. That's really good to hear. Just from my personal experience dealing with the Park Service, particularly with Bulletin 38 and their understanding of cultural resources, having their input on place names in Nevada could be very helpful.
This is Christine Johnson, for the record, to respond to that. The emails that we have in our exhibit materials include emails directly to me from Park Service, from BLM, and now the Forest Service, saying that while they wish to now not have the conflict of being a voting member, they also wish to, as they do with many other of the Western states, serve in an advisory capacity and help and assist us that way.
And if I can add to that, you all are probably frantically looking for those exhibits, but due to the Wi-Fi being out, you should see, oh, they printed them. Oh, look, the staff is so marvelous.
We have an incredible staff who made copies of it for us right away.
That is. One other thing I'd like to add back to Assemblymember Watts's question, and I was actually thinking someone would ask, can we even go from 12 to 9? Actually, back in 1985, when it was established, it was a 9-member, and we checked with legal, and they will take care of the rest. Thank you.
Right, looking around, any other questions? Thank you so much. You guys were ready to go with every single question we had. So we are ready to move on to testimony. If you would like to come to the table to offer testimony in support, come on up. And just as a reminder, please remember to clearly state and spell your name for the record. Testify in support if you support the bill in its entirety. Opposition if there's even just one little problem you have. And testify neutral is not taking a position, it's just giving some more information. Please attempt to limit your testimony to 2 minutes. So is there anyone here in Carson City who would like to offer testimony in support of AB 354? Seeing nobody, let's see if anybody's in Vegas. Elko. All right, let's try AVH. Maybe.
Chair, the public lines are
Yes.
open and working, but we have no callers to testify in support at this time.
Thank you so much. Now let's move to testimony in opposition of AB 354. Carson City, Vegas, Elko, AVH.
Chair, we have no callers to testify in opposition at this time.
And finally, we'll go to neutral. Is there anybody here in Carson City, Vegas, Elko, and AVH?
Chair, we have no callers to testify in neutral.
Thank you so much. This concludes testimony on the bill. Would you like to make any closing remarks?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank all of you. We tried to keep it as short and sweet as we could, knowing our tight schedule today. If you have any further questions, don't quite understand, I know this board is an unusual board for the state, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is a great board, and it does a lot of work. So we'll now start. We will close the hearing on Assembly Bill 354, and we'll now start with public comment. As a reminder, members of the public can provide public comment in person, by phone, or submit written public comment to the committee's email up to 24 hours after this meeting. Instructions for providing public comment can be found on the agenda and will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. Staff will time each speaker, and please remember to clearly state and spell your name. We will begin with public comment from those in the physical locations and then move to anyone who was called in. Carson City, anybody like to make public comment? Seeing none. Las Vegas, Elko, AVH.
Chair, we have no callers to give public comment at this time.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience with today. I know the last 2 hours has been a little bit interesting, but that does conclude our meeting for today, and our next meeting will be on Wednesday, March 19th, I believe at 4 p.m. Thank you.